Hello 8th graders, your new video is for section 3.1, which is on relating graphs to events. And so a couple of terms that we need to understand before we can start is what the difference is between a linear and a nonlinear graph. Linear has the word line right in it. It's a graph that makes a straight line. Nonlinear would be a graph that does not form a straight line. And so then before we get into actually making a graph or looking at a graph at all, I want to remind you of some things that would make a graph be misleading. Some characteristics of misleading graphs. So if a graph doesn't start with 0, that would make it misleading because it makes the information closer to the bottom of the graph than it really would be. If it has a break in it, so if they skip numbers, right, at the bottom, if they go from 0 to 1 million, that's a break. If they have uneven intervals, so they start going by 5s and then they end up going by hundreds and then thousands, and you can't do that. You have to have the same interval the whole way. If things aren't labeled correctly, that would be misleading if there's not a title or a label at all. If they have confusing shapes in them, that would also make them misleading. So that's just to remind you of that. And we're going to move on to an example of this relating graphs section. So I walk to my friend's house, or you walk to your friend's house. For the first 10 minutes, you go from home to a park. You walk from home to a park. For the next 5 minutes, you watch a ball game in the park. For the last 5 minutes, you run to your friend's house. Sketch and label a graph showing your distance from home during your trip. Okay, sketch and label. So first thing you need to come up with is a title. And you can title it whatever you want. I think I'll probably just call mine Trip to a Friend's or something like that. So Trip to a Friend's. Ignore my horrible writing. So here's my graph. And so over here, I'm going to label this distance, and I'm going to label the other one time. And so I don't really have, they don't tell us exactly how far we're going. They don't really give us a distance, so I can't really number this. This one down here, though, they are talking about some different amounts of time, so I am going to label this. So, and I'm going to go by, we'll say that it's in minutes. So I'm just going to label it by, go up by 5s. Okay, and so you're going to start by 0 down here in the corner. And so if I go back up and look at the story, it says, for the first 10 minutes you walk from home to a park. Okay, so you're just going at a constant speed, you're just walking. Okay, so at 10 minutes you get to the park. For the next 5 minutes you watch a ball game. Okay, so your distance isn't increasing, but your time is. So you're just going straight. For the last 5 minutes you run to your friend's house. Okay, so here I was just walking steady. Well, now in 5 minutes I need to get all the rest of the way there, so I'm going to be running faster. I'm going to cover more distance. So does that fit the story? For the first 10 minutes I walk to the park. I sit at the park, right, so I'm not going anywhere, and then I sprint. So that would match the story. And that's kind of what we're going to be doing for this section is either they will show you a graph and you have to tell a story about the graph, or they're going to tell you the story and you have to make a graph. So if you bring that knowledge with you, you should be good to go with making your own graphs. Have a good night.